Welcome to another YouTube edition of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week from the band We Were Wolves, Drew and Vince, talking about their new EP called Ruin Your Weekend. As always, no co-hosts on these YouTube versions, so let's get right into it. Here is Drew and Vince of We Were Wolves. New album is Ruin Your Weekend, an EP. Good day, guys.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Good. So, new album just came out. EP. Tell me about starting with an EP as opposed to a full-length album. Why just going with 4 songs rather than like 12, for example?
Well, when we set out to track the songs in the first place, we really just booked studio time for us to do 2 songs. We were just recording them for, like demo purposes and seeing what would come of it. And we wanted to work with this producer. His name is Frenchie Smith out
Hmm.
of Austin. He has a studio called The Bubble that we just wanted to go hang out and um, you know make some music up there. And we actually went through the 2 songs we had super quick. The chemistry was just right, I guess. And so we got to do 2 more songs in our time that we had booked. So we were like, well, there's 4, might as well put them out.
Yeah. Um, Tell me a little bit about, a lot's been made in the media about rock is dead. And, whoever said that was, pretty much of a silly person because rock is not dead. But how much more difficult is it for a new band these days to get known, to get established?
I'd say getting established is different than getting known
Correct.
these days because like getting known, as long as you have a Facebook following or somebody that like just massive amounts of people following any social media you have, you know, it means you're known, but it doesn't mean you're established because there's
Right.
countless bands that we've come across that we played with, everything like that, that just have a massive, like just incredible social media presence and nobody knows who they are. It's strange. So this day and age, it is difficult to do that. It is difficult to break out and do everything and like be known and be physically known
Right.
as well as known on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, and also, we're still pretty young whenever it comes to, you know, like being a rock and roll band. So, uh, our friends that we've seen that have become successful, I don't know what it was, if it was, being established or starting some sort of social media campaign or whatever it was, but they're also just amazing artists. So I'm not sure if even being known or being popular is that big of a deal.
Right. How important is social media in this day and age to a new band?
I guess pretty important. I would assume. I mean, you know, I would say this generation, like I guess our generation, doesn't really pay attention to posters on the wall anymore. Or
Right.
whenever we were younger, playing like at bars and coffee shops and stuff like that when we were 16 and 15 years old. We like make handbills and hand them out like at school
Right.
and, go to shows and do that. We still do that, but it seems like the internet, people on the internet choose to follow you and choose to allow you into their feed. So they're more sympathetic to it to begin with, and they want the information. That's why they follow you. So I mean, I guess it is pretty important. It's like a direct thing, like a mailing list would be.
Yeah, it really is. Now you're doing more of a hard rock metal, I would consider it. Um, Tell me about working in that field or in that genre, because these days it seems as hip hop and pop and that metal and rock still a little bit more on the fringe. Harder to build a following in that genre.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, they're fans of just music in general that don't necessarily, stick to one genre. Like for instance, us, we listen to rap music and
Okay.
country music and pop music and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I personally think playing guitar and drums and stuff is cool. I like seeing bands that play live. than I like seeing, you know, a pop act or something. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather see some dude like beat the shit out of some drums, you know?
Yeah. Drew, you were quoted in another interview as saying that three of your favorite albums are Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak, Queen of the Stone Age, Song for the Deaf, and Mastodon's Crack the Sky. What attracts you to those three bands?
Uh, Thin Lizzy's like my favorite band of all time.
Right.
I don't know why, but I like the fact that they're like a rock and roll band with like guitar solos and all that epic arena stuff, but also still like I'm a fan of songwriting. So
Right.
songwriting is more important to me than some, you know, I guess technicality, you know. It doesn't need to be super hard as long as it's good, I feel. So they're one of the bands that I like that I think are like amazing musicians and do like really cool, awesome shit, but also the songs are badass. So I'm really into that. Same thing with Queens of the Stone Age. That was like the first band that I ever like absolutely fell in love with. And I would say that band like changed my life for like how I started writing music. And then Mass on Crack the Sky is like a super psychedelic rock trip, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of strange that one of their members these days is going around saying that he doesn't like metal and doesn't want to be in a metal band. Just quickly back on Thin Lizzy for 1 second. Scott Gorham, one of the greatest guitarists of our time, in a fabulous interview, he has a new band called Black Star Riders. Do you follow that at all?
Oh no, I'm not familiar with that actually.
Well,
That sounds cool though.
Oh, they listen. I know it's an interview about you guys, but check out that band. They've done 2 albums and they are just absolutely killer. And Scott is just playing like a monster on both of those.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like. I Scott's cool, and you know Brian Downey and all those guys are cool. I know it's maybe cliche, but you know I really kind of am more into Phil Lynott. You know,
yeah,
I like even his solo records, and I know that they're more like pop driven,
right.
and like you know not necessarily rock and roll like guitar driven, you know, drum solo songs. They're like pop songs. So he was just an amazing songwriter. But that sounds rad. What was the name of it again? Black Star Riders?
Black Star Riders. There's 2 albums and they're just fantastic. I mean, there's not a bad song on either one of those albums. Getting back to you guys though. You've got the 4 songs out. Ruin Your Weekend is available now. What is the plan to get into a full studio album? More songs? Is it just we'll do these 4 and we'll do 4 more 6 months down the road, or do you really want to get in there and do a full album?
I think the general idea is to make it into a full album.
Eventually,
like give like the whole idea of it.
Okay.
Because I mean, we do have those 4 songs out and it's present, but I mean, we haven't stopped writing, we haven't stopped working towards things, so they're all in the same kind of timeline. I think it would be more fair to the. I don't know. This might sound weird, but it might be more fair to the songs to kind of keep them in the same bus, you know?
Right.
Like all of these ideas were crafted and like written together for a reason, and then the 4 just happened to coincide so perfectly that we got them all done in one sitting with Frenchie at the Bubble, and it was kind of just like a magic, like a spark. It's like, oh, these have to be out now. We have them, and they can help drive finishing up the whole record. But we're so excited about them, we want everybody to hear it. So, like I said, I think our general idea is to get the whole album,
right?
Not just 4 songs and then 6 months, 4 songs and then 6 months, 4 songs.
Okay, because I was actually wanting to know what you think about the album as an art form, because in this day and age of YouTube and downloads and everything is now, it's real easy to get into that. I'll do a song, put it out, do a song, put it out. Is there still room in this marketplace for albums?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I also don't think those things really don't matter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we put out a record and someone likes a song on it, then that's cool. Um, it's just how you choose to put out music as an artist. Like yeah, we want these songs to be on a record, but there might only be two of them that end up on the record. All four of them might end up on there. Who knows?
Gotcha.
It just depends on where the rest of the songs go. When you're in a band, it's not like you play those four songs and they're like recorded overnight, and then like the next day when the record comes out, there's like those are your four new songs. Like you write those songs and record those songs and mix those songs and get the songs mastered, and then like make a video or whatever and play them at shows and stuff like that before the record even comes out. So in that time period, you're still writing and evolving, and your tastes are changing, and you're making maybe more adventurous, creative choices or something like that. So yeah, I mean, the songs are cool. We want to put them on a record. We want to get a record out. That's why we put this record out.
Right.
But we're not sealing our fate too soon,
Right.
Right. If you can talk a little bit about the importance of the live performance. David Garrick of the Free Houston Press has said that you guys play at a breakneck pace, et cetera, et cetera. Tell me a little bit about how the importance of the live performance.
So, like Drew was talking about earlier with like and Lizzy and all that, like arena rock, it transcends the media. It's like it transcends whether you're seeing them live or not. Like if you're when we're sitting in our living room,
right,
and we're listening to Jailbreak or anything like that, you're there anyway.
Right.
So you could be watching a DVD, you could be at the concert, you could be listening to a record, and you know what's happening. You can see Phil Lynott even without even being near him. Like it's just in.
Yeah, he transcends.
Yeah, having a live show and being able to make that sound be part of who you are, and like people knowing that is what happens. That's huge. So our live show is very important to us. Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we I guess grew up doing. I think it's what every person that plays music really grew up doing, was like you perform live. Because when we were kids, we weren't smart enough to go figure out how to record ourselves. Like we didn't know, So you just play shows, and then recording records became a way to like record the songs that you play at shows to give to people.
Yep.
So hopefully they'll come to your show,
So you can do more shows.
Yeah. So we love playing live. That's the funnest part about it. And, that's what we want to do. And that's like how we practice live together. We live together, like, that's pretty important. So, and like whenever we recorded this record, the record that we recorded, it was live. It's like we were all in one room playing together, So this record kind of is a clear representation of what you'll see if you did come see us. I don't know if it's breakneck or cool.
that's how it was described.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, David's seen us play, so if that's what he gets from us, then that's rad, man. We are super loud. We like old school like guitar amps and big drums, and like playing as loud as we can. So maybe that's why. But yeah, we think it's cool. It's pretty important.
Yeah, I like that whole old school way of doing things. Image. A lot of bands have focused on image, especially, you look at bands through the 80s, for example. How important is image to you in terms of stage clothes or, the way you do your hair? I mean, how big is image for you?
I think that it is a big deal to people. Unfortunately for us, like, we don't have any style. Yeah.
Right, but there is something to be said about looking like a rock star, like looking the part, right?
Well, yeah, but that's like looking the part is weird. That's like your line. Like if you don't just like we don't necessarily have like costumes that we wear when we play live or something.
Right.
We just wear like jeans and t-shirts and shoes that we already have
that are comfortable.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that we would wear to the bar. Or like our hair is cut like the way that it was cut the day before or like the month before. It's not like we have a stylist. If we did, that'd be rad. But
that's the
we
goal,
don't.
right? The goal is to work your
Yeah.
way up to having an entourage, a costume designer, and a stylist, right? That's what we all want, right?
Not yeah, I guess. I mean, I think that when you play live, like if you are a band that you do have like a large budget and stuff, like I think you're spending that money on creating an atmosphere for like your show and
Right.
people come in to see you, whether it be like let's say you are in a band like Slipknot or something where everyone like kind of looks creepy. That's the atmosphere for like their heavy ass metal band, you know? Like, and if it's Katy Perry or something, she's gonna like be dressed up wearing a lollipop or something because that's like part of it, you know. And for us, if we could like have Zach be lifted up and like shoot fire out of his drum set, then yeah, we'd do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, but right now we're more focused on like, you know, meeting people and having, you know, making friends with like the people that are around and hanging out and playing music and like being earnest about it, you know. If that stuff comes, that's cool, but it's not something that we dwell on. I think other people do, but not us.
Yeah, and I'll finish with this. It's not often that you interview a new band and they're referencing Thin Lizzy. What are your bands that you like? I mean, did you grow up with a dad or an uncle that was all into the '70s music? What were you listening to at home? Your influences?
Yeah, like my mom and dad were kids of like that era. You know, they listened to like my dad was into Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and Leonard
Nice.
Skinner, and
Nice.
my mom was into Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
But like when we were kids, we listened to like NoFX and like Blink-182, like pop punk bands and
Right.
whatever, you know. And
That's
then like got into like something that was a little as we got older, a little more mature or whatever. But a lot of that came from like I worked at a guitar shop for a long time, you know, in the town that we're from. I worked there for like 6 years, and there's so much knowledge from those guys because they've been around for, you know, the rock and roll scene for a long time. So they taught me a lot and opened my eyes to a lot of like cool blues musicians and rock bands and stuff. I think that's where I picked up Thin Lizzy. I know when me and Vince were kids, like Vince loves Metallica and stuff, and you know, Captain Beyond and like some other weird stuff.
Yeah, the ones that you just collect them. Like Drew said, I would just worship Metallica. Like I thought James Hetfield was God, and Kirk Hammett was the coolest person to ever touch a guitar for the longest time.
Let me just correct you. He was God. He still is a God.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. If I met
He still
James
is a
Hetfield,
God. James is top of the hill.
I think if I met James Hetfield, it'd be like the only person I got starstruck by, and just like, oh my God, I can't believe you're James Hetfield. You know, I would just lose it.
Like same room, like freaked up.
Yeah. So, but like you learn about stuff like that, and then so like all of your influences, you gain other ones. Like Drew said, I like Captain Beyond. That came way later.
But those dudes, like let's say Vince is really into Metallica. Like when you're really into a band, you find out what
they are into.
Yeah, then that you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's cool. Or you know, like, oh, this band was really into Yes. Cool. You listen to Yes. You're like, well, this is crazy. You know.
That's kind of how Drew and I ended up on the same page stylistically for anything, because Drew found out about Thin Lizzy however he found out about it. I found out about Thin Lizzy from James Hetfield. Wow. James Hetfield said that, you know, it was just watching Phil Lynott or listening to Phil Lynott inspired him to write. So I was like, who's this Phil Lynott guy? And
they did that. They covered a Thin Lizzy song.
Oh, yeah, multiple.
Oh, shit,
yeah, Whiskey in a Jar.
Yeah.
And
that's cool, man. I mean,
so you learn your influences, right. And then you kind of filter all of it, kind of make your own version of your hero's music.
Yeah, and by the way, you mentioned NoFX. I'm actually going to go see them in August, so that'll be a fun show.
Is that Metallica?
No, NoFX.
Oh, NoFX, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're playing a festival here called Heavy Montreal, and they're on a bill with Faith No More and Iggy Pop of all bands.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I'm trying to go see Faith No More when they come through Houston.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild event and stuff. Guys, thank you for your time, and of course, the album is "Ruin Your Weekend," which is on iTunes and all over the place right now.
Yes, sir.
Great pleasure speaking with you.
Oh man, thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and it was a pleasure speaking with you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
man.
hopefully you'll make it out to Montreal someday, and I'll be able to come out to the show.
Yeah, we'd love to. Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Bye.
That was my interview with Drew and Vince of We Were Wolves. The new album is called Ruin Your Weekend. Make sure to check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon. The Facebook page is One on One with Mitch Lafon. There you have it, folks. Thanks. Cheers.